of the Sahara. And just to run through the South Africans who are competing, they're doing particularly well, particularly Alfie Cox, who's still lying third, and that's in the motorcycle section. Vickers van Deventer still leading the quads, and then Woolrich and Skoldhammer are keeping the South African flag flying in the mass production class. So South Africa doing quite well in the Dakar Rally. Let's see how they did today, the seventh stage. Sit back and enjoy all the highlights.
Mixed terrain, mixed blessings on stage 7 of the Dakar. Race leader Oscar Gallardo lost, had to dig himself out. Better news of BMW. Zankt comes home fourth. He's the new leader. Into the cars, good and bad news in the Schlesser camp. Overnight leader Jose Maria Salvia stuck also in the dunes. Jean-Louis Schlesser second today, tops the standings, now ahead of Kleinschmidt. So what came before today? The answer was hell in the dunes. 2 days of sheer torture. And Jutta Kleinschmidt and Tina Turner.
It was going to be rough, but today was really rough. And
rough.
I mean, we changed 3 punctures. We got stuck in the sand, and so yes. And I think because it was so soft sand, we used so much fuel, you know. So the last 7 kilometers was. So if the finish line had been 300 meters away, we would never have managed the finish line. But we managed now, so it's okay.
Well, that was one Mitsubishi that had done well. There were others that had done terribly on the day. As Jutta refueled herself from the water bottle. Spoke to Ulrich Bremer, team chief at Mitsubishi. And he said, it's been a desperate day for us. Shinozuka out of fuel. Halfway through, Jean-Pierre Fontenay gave him all of his fuel because he was so far off the pace himself. He thought he'd wait for the fuel truck to come along. And then Shinozuka, 1 kilometre from the end, runs out again. He said, we've had terrible luck today. Our best chance is to push Jutta all the way now, he says. Bad luck for us today. Maybe it'll be others who have bad luck tomorrow. Well, the dunes were absolutely incredible. 2 days of it, and so many competitors were lost. It really did upset all the rankings. 83 bikes, 52 cars, and 22 trucks were all that started today. And you can see why. The terrain, very, very soft indeed. It was punishing. Yes, we caught up with one of them, Bernard Adrieux. He says basically we're waiting for the assistance truck. Just kicking our boots together, he says.
Pardon?
Oh, very difficult indeed, he says.
De toute façon, ça va être difficile de reprendre au départ. On peut toujours le faire, mais
everybody seems to be getting stuck, he says. Didn't expect it to be this bad in this race. Lots of difficulty. The last 100 kilometers, he says, and there's no end to it. On and on, an ocean of sand. And many competitors were stuck for many hours, I can tell you. It wasn't just a small craft either. The big boys also in there. And it seems the bigger you are, the harder you stick in the Dakar when the dunes are concerned. Yes, some even giving up, bedding down for the night. This chap says he's been stuck in there for 10 hours and he's just had enough. They're walking out, he says. Motor's broken. Well, time to set off the navigation beacons and wait for help to arrive.
La nuit, on a roulé toute la nuit ici dans
The
les
truck
dunes.
driver says all night in the dunes. We got stuck 5 times. We took ourselves half an hour's sleep, waited for the sun to come
Et
up, he
puis
says,
le matin, on a dormi
and
pendant une
basically
demi-heure.
just plod on.
Attendre jusqu'à ce qu'il
He says he's got a 70-ton truck
Non, c'est
and it's
recommencer
just
de nouveau, mais
simply
on fait
too
tout
heavy
avec le camion.
in the soft
17
stuff.
tonnes pour un 4x4, ce camion c'est beaucoup trop pour rouler ici.
It's very difficult for us today, he says, as it was for so many others.
Tu roules à ta main, tu tomberas pas.
Well, this is Pascal
C'est
Faure,
quand même pas un manche en enduro.
and he's not a happy man, as you can see. Tears being shed. Common sight on the day.
Fais confiance au Pascal.
Now the doctor basically interviewing to see if he's fit to carry on. Well, he said he wanted to stop at this point. But guess what? The doctor persuaded him to carry
Plan
on.
la Marie.
Ben, dans la tête.
Yes, this is the doctor. He said, I know the Dakar.
1h15.
If he stops now, he'll regret it. It's better to suffer now and finish,
Pour plein de choses.
and then be happy when he gets back home to
Dans la
France.
tête. Il faut mieux.
It'll be better for him in his own mind.
Et après, quand
If
on
he
rentre
cracks
au
on.
pays, tout va bien. Mais abandonner dans ces conditions, c'est pas bon. Après, il va dire, merde, je suis con, pourquoi j'ai abandonné? Il va se le dire toute l'année. là.
Yes, he'll
Avant
regret
ça.
it bitterly if he gives up now. He's told him to get on with it. Well, Pascal in better mood soon afterwards, realising
Allez.
there's a rally to be raced. If not one.
Allez, Pascal. Tes lunettes, tu les oublies pas. Hein. Allez.
So what about today's stage? Was it going to be a let-up in the torture? Not a bit of it. 434 kilometres of special and mixed terrain. There were dunes in there. They caused havoc yet again from Tajika to Nioro in Mali. Number 2 in this rally, his name, Alfie Cox. He's South African, he's 35 years of age, and he's a bit of a character. He's lighting up everybody's Dakar. 4th in his first outing. He believes he's in the frame this time. Well, each night in the bivouac, this program is beamed to the drivers and riders.
I enjoy the challenge, and you know, I hope to do obviously a better result than I had last year, but that's going to be a little bit difficult. But I think the enjoyment of being on the Dakar and being with all the people, and it's just the biggest race in the world, and I think it has a good feeling to it.
Well, one of the favourites at the start, Alfie. He's very convinced of his own abilities. Bit of a mixed day, it has to be said, today. But he's still in the frame, very much so. Cox finishing down, coming home in 10th place. He's half an hour, just over, off the pace overall. Well, physically he's in great shape for a 35-year-old.
I've been okay, but now everything has got tight. My shoulder, you see my arm. I made a crash 2 days ago and I have much bleeding inside the arm here, and it's a little bit sore and it's gone into my shoulder. So
the dramatic scenery between Mauritania and Mali, summed up in the Negra Pass. A truly beautiful scenery. for everyone to enjoy. Well, us at least. The competitors, of course, too busy looking at the ground. So a spectacular run-in. And a day of contrasting fortunes, as it had been in the bikes as well. The Dresser Portuguese once again, though. The cars to watch. Dramatic stuff. The exhaust catches fire from Schlesser. And of course, his fellow teammate. To have something of a mixed day, it has to be said. Jose Maria Servia getting himself stuck in the dunes. Thankfully for Schlesser, things were going a little better for him. Miguel Prieto, as we saw in the Mitsubishi, was the man leading them, taking advantage of other people's misfortunes. And Kenji Shinazuka also up there, good enough for 7th on the day. Shinazuka, an hour off the pace. But in this terrain, it all counts. It's good just to get home, it has to be said. Well, if you don't like one route, take another. Jean-Louis Schlesser, he's an extremely experienced man. And he's hardly about to push his machine, which he knows like the back of his hand because he builds them beyond its limits. So Schlesser carrying the baby home today. Up there with him, Jutta Kleinschmidt. And of course, Prieto himself out in front. Well, it was spade work was the order of the day. And plenty of it as well. Servia stuck more than one time. And the clock ticking away for him. Frustrating it certainly is. They thought the dunes were fast. They knew there were sections of them today. It's very difficult special again. I'm not a professional spade user, he says. He's got to dig it out today. Schlesser in hot pursuit of Prieto. A real battle between those two. In the end, it was 12 minutes and 46 seconds which separated the pair. Prieto home first and happy.
No sé qué hora llegarán los demás, pero
I think this was the stage of the navigators. So it was terrible. 420 kilometers in all. Dominic Serriers, drivers Bruno Sabi is his co-driver. Paying tribute to him, saying basically if it was out without him, managed at all. Very important to read the land well.
Después hemos tenido mucha navegación en zona plana, entre árboles, muy difícil. Todo
if you haven't got a proper plan to follow,
y por último hemos tenido una pista preciosa.
It's basically impossible. Yes, the piste was covered again and again. Blowy conditions, I can tell you from first-hand experience in Mali. And indeed, those tracks covered up within moments, it has to be said. Stefan Pederhansel, who swapped 2 wheels for 4. Had a great day today. Bringing his Nissan home in 5th place behind Matsuoka. Pederhansel 6th in the overall ranking.
Drove our Hummer to Molly, but Molly was dry. Good old boys drinking whiskey and rye. This won't be a day that I fly.
Well, they may not be much singers.
Right,
but believe me, the Hummer boys now to enjoy themselves, both on track and off.
Buongiorno a tutti. Ciao a tutti.
Hello to everybody, and hello to you,
Stiamo
sir.
viaggiando alla modica velocità di 60 km/h sulle pietre. Siamo intorno alla 15ª macchina e stiamo
Well, Mr. Altimar, bringing the most colourful vehicle of them all home today, thankfully,
verso il passo di Niega.
though not featuring too
Come
high
vedete il
up the
pilota
stage.
guida in supplesse e al tempo di fare la telecronica. Siamo molto carichi perché questa mattina è stata fatta
Yes, majestic scenery for them to enjoy. Basically, there's racing to be done, boys. It's put down time.
Le macchine hanno un consumo esagerato.
So these the results, stage 7, and how they stand in this year's Dakar. So what about when the day ends? What goes on in the bivouac that they're all driving towards? Well, we're about to find out. Yes, the punishing schedule of the day finally at an end. It's time to cruise through the time check.
We are in the CH Ariride and it's midnight.
Yes, still open and checking them through.
Et puis on contrôle et on informe le PC course de ce qui arrive et de ce qui est encore arrivé.
Basically, they just keep coming.
De temps en temps entre deux concurrents.
Basically, they're staying awake until 3 o'clock in the morning.
Le coup sur la durée du
Check through all the concurrents, all the competitors. They basically just want to get to bed, but they have to check through first to be allowed into the bivouac, where I have to tell you there's some excellent food on offer. And when you know the conditions that these people are working under, it's even more impressive.
S'arrêter avant 3 heures du matin. C'est tellement mieux la nuit sur le Dakar. Parce qu'en fait,
everybody, she says, no matter how late when they come in, has to be fed. They talk to us, tell us about their troubles in the day. Most people suffering from punctures. She says it's very nice. It's cool, she says.
Et on quittera le point de CH.
So a great atmosphere when the pressure's off.
No, it's 3 o'clock and we close the CH.
So the time check closing down. Bad news for all those still out on the course.
Well, it's a good atmosphere, yeah.
Et là, vous attendez quoi?
On attend les voitures qu'ils reviennent afin de pouvoir les réparer avant de prendre l'avion.
Waiting for the car when it comes, do his job, get on the plane and head off for the next stage.
Good morning.
Well, it's been 2 very, very demanding days in the dunes, and one vehicle that seems to be coping very well indeed is, of course, the Hummer. Tom Wamberg is with us now. Tom, taking a well-earned rest, I suppose.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm sitting down. That's right. It's been 2 tough days, you're right.
What about these dunes? You seem to have sailed through them compared to some other competitors.
We have a great car for the dunes. We lost a radiator 2 days ago, lost the transmission, the top gear, had to replace that last night. Yet when the car's running, it goes right through the dunes, and if you pick your spots, it's got plenty of power, and the suspension's beautiful, and it just goes right where you want to take it. And everybody else is kind of slipping and sliding and tipping over, and we're just cruising right by them. So the more dunes for us, the better. We'll take them all.
So you're almost custom made for this sort of terrain?
In the dunes, the Hummer is unsurpassed. It's 4-wheel drive all time. We've got deflatable tires, and we can deflate them, inflate them when we need to. As I said, if the whole Dakar rally with the dunes, we'd be delighted.
So the dunes have been a highlight. What's a highlight to come? Tomorrow looks tough.
Well, tomorrow looks tough, and there's a few dunes, but I think we've seen the most of them. And so now it's going to be faster, and we get into more down further south in Africa, and we're going to get more in the jungle terrain and so forth. And our 7.5 feet width doesn't help in some of those narrow roads, but we'll be fine. We're doing real well. Our goal was to get in the top 20 finish, and we finished 18th, I think, yesterday, and 17th today. So we're moving right into the spot we want to be in.
real ships, the boats, if you like, of this Dakar. They're the trucks. And it's a surprise to everybody. They even managed to get through, particularly the dunes. They really are impressive vehicles, lighting up the eyes of the locals as they pass. The monoliths, the monsters. And this year, it's the Tatras and the Kamats vehicles that are doing all the damage. Lopre and Satura in the Tatra for the Czech Republic. Kabirov, Belev, and Moskovich, and Ikubov. A pair of Russians in the Kamaz. Hinos also featuring. They really are giants. Yes, the racing equally as serious amongst the trucks. There is, of course, a separate category for the assistance vehicles. And, of course, they were not allowed to feature early on, cutting up the terrain too badly. And now we're into the desert, the dry stuff. It's nice to see them ploughing their way through. It's a shame they don't go first, otherwise they'd leave plenty of decent tracks for everyone else to follow. And so what does tomorrow hold? Well, we're moving from Mali through to Burkina Faso. Bobo Dioulasso is the destination. It's a 460-kilometre special. The liaison is long as well, 540 kilometres as well. 986 in all. It'll be tough. We'll be there. Hope you will be too.